Thanks for listening to High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
Today we're reviewing David Cronenberg's new body horror film, Crimes of the Future.
Fuck yeah, more Cronenberg.
This is Cronenberg's first body horror film since Existenz in 1999. Actually, John, did you know that David Cronenberg did not coin the term body horror, nor has ever used it to describe his films?
It's one of those things I wasn't familiar with, but I'm not that surprised. I feel like it's one of those things when somebody has a term for their kind of stuff, they're usually never the first one to come up with it.
Yeah, well, he said that the term doesn't make sense to him because body horror doesn't describe his work efficiently because the body is science and beautiful. It's not horror. But he does admit that the term sounds cool.
I mean, the body can turn on you and do some pretty horrific things. So I'm not fully sure I'm on board with him on that.
Well, some of you may not know this, but Cronenberg directed a short film with the same title in 1970, and it's completely unrelated to this new film starring Viggo Mortensen and Kristen Stewart that we're talking about today. It's a wild ride, so we're going to talk about that and more today on High on Horror. Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. All right, John, so I got something I want to drop on you here, a little knowledge nugget that I think you'll be interested to hear.
All right.
But first, it looks like you got some good shit going on over there. What you got for us?
I got some of that mac and cheese.
Oh, mac and cheese.
That one has been my favorite, and I was happy because, you saw,
This is a strain of cannabis, by the way, and we're not just sitting here eating mac and cheese.
I mean, I would also not be opposed to that.
I mean, true. Anyway.
Well, you know how, those containers that were muled back to me?
Yes.
They're all in individual eighths.
Right, yeah.
So the other day I was like, I need to mix these so that way I know, which ones I'm really running out of. Mm-hmm. And the mac and cheese one, trying to put it in one container almost didn't fit.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, I guess I really haven't tried this. And, I put it in my bong. Holy shit, it was my favorite one.
I was going to say, I don't think that we tried that. I don't think you've brought that one over and we've tried that together.
We'll probably have it next week, too.
Well, all right, while you spark that up, listen to this, man. Here's a knowledge nugget for you and all you listeners out there who are listening to this and happen to be Star Wars fans. So David Cronenberg was offered to direct Return of the Jedi.
I heard about that.
Well, only it was actually called Revenge of the Jedi when he got the call. And he answered the call from whoever it was at Lucasfilms, and they said they wanted him to do the film. And he responded by saying that he's not fond of directing other people's scripts. And he also asked why it was called Revenge of the Jedi because the title doesn't make sense because there's no Jedi getting revenge. They hung up on him.
Luke?
Well, they never hung up on him, and he never heard from him again, but they did change the name of the movie to Return of the Jedi, which is a better title, and it's kind of funny that they actually listened to him.
It's funny. I mean, I'd also heard George Lucas, I'd always heard it was originally Revenge of the Jedi, but I heard George Lucas's version was him saying that they changed the title because revenge wouldn't be something a Jedi would do. So I wonder if it had any Cronenberg influence on it.
Maybe he started the whole maybe that title doesn't make sense.
Our producer Josh is loves everything Star Wars, so I'm sure he'll correct us and tell us where we're wrong. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I'd heard him attached to that. There was so many different people that were attached to Star Wars. This has nothing to do with anybody we have today, but the one I thought was funny is my favorite actor, Al Pacino. Mm-hmm. He was originally considered for Han Solo.
Yeah, I definitely don't see that. I don't see that.
It would be like Joe Pesci.
I'm not going to say he couldn't do it.
He's going to have to stop himself from cussing so much.
I was going to say that's a good point, but I'm not going to say he can't do it because it's Al Pacino, but it's just weird. I can't imagine that. But yeah, dude, imagine a Star Wars film directed by David Cronenberg. Now that would have been some crazy shit. Luke Skywalker's got a belly pussy.
That's where he hides his lightsaber. Instead of a belt, he just stashes it in his belly.
And instead of kissing Leia, they fucking stitch themselves together or some shit. Anyway.
Oh, no, it's like the hologram. Oh, man, we're just keep making Videodrome references. It's like the hologram, but it starts pulsating like the TV.
Right. He all puts his mouth to it, try to kiss it like that. Anyway, so Cronenberg was asked to direct Top Gun and Flashdance. Could you imagine if he'd done any of these or all of them.
Okay, it's funny because you said Top Gun first, and the first I'm going to go back to that. I just quickly want to say Flashdance,
dude. Yes.
Who the fuck was like, you know what? We got this movie Flashdance about a girl in a small little coal mine in town. It's just going to dance. You know who we should get? David Cronenberg. Like, what the fuck? How the fuck was that an option? I'm not surprised he turned that down. Top Gun. I'm interested to see how Tom Cruise would have worked with David Cronenberg. I feel like it could either be awesome or a total disaster.
I want to know why.
Because Cronenberg's very much a control person. I mean, you kind of brought it up with Jedi. He doesn't like directing other people's stuff.
Right.
But he's very much a control freak. And from stuff I've seen from the new Top Gun interviews with Tom Cruise, he was very much hands-on in the development of the film. So I feel like either they could have butted heads a lot. It would
have been a great relationship.
Or I think it could have been really a interesting collaboration.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to know, good for him for not being, typecast as a director, because he had done so many crazy movies up to this point. But I just want to know, based on his body of work, what the fuck made anybody consider him for Top Gun or Flashdance? Who watched Videodrome and The Brood or Rabid and they came from within and goes, yeah, let's get that dude to direct the movie about fucking Navy pilots.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. But anyway, so Cronenberg, or as I like to call him, the king of venereal horror. Venereal horror. I heard that one. I couldn't believe that. The king of venereal horror. I think that's my new favorite term to call him. Anyway, the king of venereal horror said that this movie was over 20 years in the making, actually. Back in 1998, he wrote the script and it collected dust until producer Robert Lantis made Cronenberg dig it up and realized that the script is more relevant today than it was 20 years ago due to the evolution of the body in those 20 years. Nobody was talking about eating plastic or microplastics, rather, when the script was written, and now 80% of human beings have plastic in their system. Has there been a Cronenberg film that hasn't been ahead of its time or that isn't more relevant today than back when it came out?
I'm sure some people are going to go, they brought him up again. It's like Carpenter, man. Although I think Cronenberg got more critical appreciation than Carpenter did, but it's kind of the same thing. Like, Carpenter just always got bad critic reviews, but everything, always been ahead of its time. People come back and end up liking it. Like, Cronenberg, yeah, man, like we talked about on Videodrome, it was made about TV cable consumption. Yep. That could very much apply to stuff like YouTube and internet today.
Yeah. And like I said before in a previous episode to you, I think I still consider... Now, there have been movies before, like even Joe Bob Briggs has mentioned on The Last Drive-In Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Frankenstein. They've had political undertones and social themes in them, but I consider the true, elevated horror to start with Cronenberg. Those were the real, holy shit, telling a crazy, almost ambiguous story through insane visuals and the body mutating. That to me was people watch Up and know Up, really, the Disney movie. I'm sorry, I
love Up.
I do.
It's one of my favorite Pixar movies.
I meant to say Us. They watch Us and Get Out and they think that Jordan Peele, oh my God, he created this whole new subgenre where it's educated horror about, political themes and what's going on in the world. And it's nah, man, Cronenberg did it. And his movies were telling you what was going to happen 20 years from now.
Yeah, Jordan Peele, I'm in no way trying to shit on him, but a lot of his fans come from comedy.
Yeah, agreed.
And they don't understand that Jordan Peele is, as much as we don't like Eli Roth, same thing. They're big, huge fans of the genre.
Yeah.
So, Jordan's pulling inspirations from other people as well.
Executing it slightly better than Eli. Well, not slightly, a lot better than Eli did, though.
I don't want to get you started on Eli Rob Zombie. But, Cronenberg. Yeah, you were talking... I was going to say Carpenter, but I would say that Carpenter didn't necessarily go for the visual work that Cronenberg did. It was more of a psychological one, but... Yeah,
more of a story.
A very visual... I realize how ridiculous it says talking about motion pictures, but he's a very visual person.
Definitely. And, I agree with that. And the good news is, though, is that the king of venereal horror hasn't lost his neck. In fact,
he had a venereal disease.
That's for, I guess, that comes from Rabbit, and they came from within. They were all like contacted through sexual disease. So, king of venereal horror, I'll take it. I mean, that's pretty hilarious. Not many people get called that, but yeah, Cronenberg actually said that he still feels like a kid when making movies, which was really good to hear because he still has a passion for it. And he said that he still makes movies for audiences, and he thinks that to make a movie excluding the audience and only thinking about yourself is an automatic failure. And I can't disagree with that. You have to have the audience in mind.
It was funny. We were talking about how he still feels like a kid being a movie. I just kind of realized I wasn't speaking out my full thoughts of where I was going. But you talk about him being an older director. Well, you didn't say he was an older director, but he feels like a kid making movies still.
Yeah.
And I mean, the guy's 78, and that's good to hear. And it's almost funny because I saw the New Yorker in their review of this film talked about how Cronenberg's film feels like very much a late director's type of movie. As an attorney, like how you see a lot of older directors start like worrying about death in their body, but I'm like, totally. Cronenberg's been doing this for like 40 years, so it's like
the same pattern of movies.
It's another classic. Well, we'll see about classic, but it's another typical Cronenberg body horror. He can hate the term.
Classic example of body horror. There you go.
I wouldn't consider it a typical because they considered it a typical late director movie. Like late life director movie, yeah. And I could see that for most people, but it's Cronenberg. Like this is just par for the course.
Agreed. It's just another movie in his filmography. I don't see anything.
But as much as I've mentioned Carpenter, I'll do it again. At least Cronenberg's still making films. Well,
yeah, kind of.
To be fair, Carpenter is still involved in the filmmaking process,
producing
he's just not
and doing scores.
Yeah,
he's more of a music man now.
But let's be honest, amazing at that as well.
Oh yeah, I was listening to his music, the Lost Themes, yesterday at work.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, it's crazy. You probably get the same thing where, like, I'll just be driving to work and thinking of something on Spotify, and I'm like, you know what? I'll put on John Carpenter.
Yeah, it happens. It's actually
like I just drive to
gets
work.
Brought up, yeah.
Halloween, though, if you catch me out driving, it's a continuous loop in my car of the Halloween theme just playing.
That's hilarious. Well,
if I stray any, it's the rest of the soundtrack.
When I went to that wedding last month or the month before, I can't even remember. My wife's cousin Shane, he was the one that was getting married, and when I came out, because I was a groomsman, when I walked into the room, the Halloween theme kicked on. I was the only person there.
Nice.
I was the only person there that had their own personal theme when they walked out. He had that set up for me, so I thought that was
awesome.
pretty cool.
Did you geek the fuck out?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And he also got me a pair of Michael Myers socks, so it was pretty cool. I mean, definitely, it's
awesome.
When you're rewarded with
start getting the horror socks like I got.
Yeah, when you get gifted horror things, I mean, that's as good as money when you're a horror fan.
It's funny. I was I'm wearing a Halloween shirt now. My job, as you know, like I don't have a dress code because nobody sees us. Like I go to work in shorts every day. I was outside on my break, and I was like, I wonder what these people think of me. I've been here a month, and all they ever see me wearing are either wrestling or horror shirts.
Rob Zombie Halloween shirts.
Just literally, the only socks I own are like these crew horror socks. Like today, I just got fucking Reagan on my socks.
Yeah, it's awesome though. But I like the Halloween 2 shirt, the Rob Zombie one that you have the most. That's the best one. The artwork.
You're funny.
Anyway, back to
the Deftones White Pony album. It's not Rob Zombie.
Well, anyway, back to the movie, as Joe Bob Briggs would say. Cronenberg is used to the idea that most of his audience comes from watching his movies on TV, especially like from back in the day when like Shivers and Rabid, they kind of were in and out of theaters rather quickly and were more put on TV, and that's where they call it their audiences. So the fact that newer audiences will probably not catch Crimes of the Future on the big screen is okay with Cronenberg. We watched it on TV, I guess, so he's not wrong. But he said he's fine with the idea of people watching it on their tablets or Apple Watches.
Apple Watch.
It's a little small.
I will say it's kind of funny, like we got it on early access, and I thought, like, I wanted to see it on the big screen. But, watching it on, what's your TV, 55?
This is a 69. I think it's a 69.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's a 69. I think so.
Anyway, it was fine. I don't want to, shit on Cronenberg style, but it's not Christopher Nolan where when I see, what the hell was that, the World War II movie?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Dunkirk, I've never seen that out of theaters. I don't know if I want to ever see it out of theaters. The IMAX experience of that, Nolan, like he says, he makes movies
for the cinema.
For the theater experience.
Yep.
You don't need the theater experience with Cronenberg.
Agreed. You're totally fine with
There's
a blunt.
cool visuals.
You're fine with a blunt or a glass of wine and just chilling at home watching it.
Dude, I don't I've watched fucking Videodrome on phones, whatever. It's still feels the same.
Well, actually, I want to go back to something that you said a minute ago because it makes total sense. You said that the film critic said that they felt that it was a director at the end of his time directing a movie. I don't feel that it's Cronenberg being afraid of death or being at the end of his movie. I feel that this was more about him making a movie about adapting to modern times for survival in a later age, because he said recently, a quote, "The body for me is the essence of human existence. It is what we are. Everything comes from that, including technology." End quote. Cronenberg recently had cataract surgery.
Damn, a car wreck. I missed that shit.
He recently had cataract surgery and had gotten hearing aids, so he considers himself to be bionically enhanced. And he said that, quote, "Technology has always been ultra-human and a complete extension of what we are." And look at cell phones and social media for an example of that. You see the good, the bad, and the terrible in technology, just like you do in humanity. And all of that reflects in Crimes of the Future.
I don't know if hearing aids is gonna make you bionic, but
I guess if it's producing you to hear when you can't hear, it is I guess it's amplify. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's strong wording.
I'm sure some people groan when I mention the name, but Elon Musk, when he was, I think it was on Rogan, he was basically, and I was like, he's got a good point. He's like, we're basically already cyborgs already. And Rogan was like, how? He's like, your cell phone. He's like, you can literally find any information you want in a matter of seconds as long as you have an internet connection. That's the same thing of when we watch movies in the 80s and you see Short Circuit, Johnny Five, where you could just zoom through the book real quick and have all the information.
That's true. That's
what our cell phones are now.
That's very true.
I guess we are cyborgs, but I don't know about just hearing aids.
Well, I guess the thing was that he pointed out how the film that he now sees through in his eyes isn't the film that his body produced. It's a plastic that was put in him. So he's considered, I guess, just buying. I get what he's saying, but I also get what you're saying as well. But Crimes of the Future debuted.
It ain't Darth Vader. He's still way more man than machine.
Yeah. Crimes of the Future debuted at Cannes for a great reception, even though people did walk out.
Great reception, and apparently, viscerally, the other reaction. I guess maybe because we're horror fans. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
you're good.
I don't.
You didn't feel like you were too bothered by it, right?
I was expecting
I wouldn't have left
more.
the theater for it. Yeah, it didn't bother me at all.
It sounds bad when we talk about what happened, because it's in the first couple of minutes, so it's not really.
And the latter part, I think the autopsy part that we'll get to, I think that was also the part that got people. But again, I mean, we just did an episode where we talked about cabin fever. I didn't see anything in Crimes of the Future that was more gross or grotesque or disturbing. Maybe more visually and artistic, for sure, but yeah, nothing that bothered me. But Cannes Film Festival, that was the first time that Cronenberg had actually seen the movie himself on the big screen. And before we discuss the movie, I want to put it out there for all of the know-it-alls who like to swing their Cronenberg cocks of knowledge that there is no intentional homage to his other films in Crimes of the Future. Anything people pick out and say is a homage to his older films is false and pure coincidence. Cronenberg said that he thinks that paying homage to older films that you've made by recreating a shot or other things that doesn't help you grow as an artist. So he never tries to repeat his work or go back and pay homage. We talked about this and we'll get into it. I definitely see bones and the structure of a lot of other things of his other movies in Crimes of the Future. It's kind of hard to ignore or say that that's not intentional, but anyway, we'll get into it.
We'll talk about it, but I just want to say I can get how he says it's not intentional, but there's no way that when he, like, you've done this in previous movies. There's no way you can convince me that you don't.
Or to say, hey, that looks like this did in Existenz or whatever. How that did. You have to know. Hey, even he might not watch his movies.
There's a couple things,
but he has to know he has to remember when he made them and what shit looked like, and you have to be able to see the similarities in that.
Yeah, like I feel like there's stuff that maybe, because I've noticed a lot of artists necessarily don't hang on to what they've done or remember stuff. Like I saw a thing with Jason Alexander, and he said people quote Seinfeld lines to me all the time that I've said, and I don't ever remember saying them.
And John Carpenter said that he doesn't watch his own movies because he cringes at how awful they are. I'm like, what?
I get it. I can get why he feels that way, but like maybe there's stuff that like the hardcore fans like us would like pick up from like that Carpenter's done that were like, oh, you remember that one scene from Vampires? Like,
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
So I could see maybe it's one of those things, but there's like some of the stuff that there's no way you could have made your movie and not remember that you have done that previously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's like if I made a movie with like a specific, like for example, I'll just say something briefly. There's a little tool that they use in the movie that looks exactly like the fucking surgical tools made up in Dead Ringers, but they're just like white instead of silver. And I'm like, how did you not make this? How did you make a new surgical tool that looks exactly like a surgical tool from another film about surgery, but you didn't intentionally pay? It's too close to think that there wasn't some sort of bleeding from his other movies or ideas into this movie. It's not a bad thing, but it's like you can't just shut those other movies out.
Exactly.
All right, well, you want to get into talking about the movie?
Yeah, let's go. Crimes of the Future is a 2020 body horror film from, who else? David Cronenberg. Sometime in the future, pollution and climate change have spurred on advances in biotechnology. You have machines that can interface with humans and control their functions. That comes paired with man undergoing a lot of biological changes. People don't know what caused it, though, and physical pain and infectious diseases are a thing of the past for the overwhelming majority. And so, like, you have surgery being performed while people are just awake. Like, it's nothing. But other humans have experienced more radical alterations to their physiology. One of them is an 8-year-old boy named Brecken, played by Sozos Sodiris. That's what I'm going with.
Satiris? Yeah.
Satirist?
We're terrible with names. If you've listened to this podcast, you know that we are terrible with pronouncing names.
That and spoilers, but we're going to try to fix it. He displays the innate ability to communicate, holy shit, consume and digest plastics as a food. Also, that house they live in, filthy as fuck.
That toilet, dog, it was nasty. Just like puking shit all over the place.
Think of like It Chapter 1 with the blood on the toilet, but instead of blood, it's shit.
It's just brown. Yeah, just brown juice. Brown juices.
Brown juices. Oh, jeez. Also, why after he done brushing his teeth, he just like put that toothbrush back up? Didn't even wash it off. Didn't even wash his mouth out.
Didn't rinse his mouth.
Just scrub the teeth, and that was like he was just done.
You brought that up. I guess somebody who eats plastic isn't too worried about the leftover taste of toothpaste in their mouth.
Convinced he's inhuman. This is where we assume most of the people left. Brecken's mom she gets on top of him and smothers him with a pillow. And then she just leaves his corpse and calls her ex-husband Lang. And yeah, like I said, she tells him, come pick up your son's corpse. Yeah. But like, I gotta imagine, I think this is probably where a lot of people did leave.
Yeah, and Lang, played by Scott Speedman, we'll talk about him later. But I was gonna say that the crazy thing is that the way that the film starts off is you straight up see that Like his mom, Brecken's mom, she legit does not identify him as human. You said that earlier.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's almost like the evolution of the human body is making it so like you're not even recognized as human anymore, almost as if you're evolving into something else.
Yeah,
I won't say it's a homage to Videodrome or the new Flesh, but
long live the new Flesh.
I won't say it's a homage or that it's related.
The new intestines.
But she just literally
the new organs. There you go.
Long live the new organs. But yeah, the fact that she seems so cold and turned off and convinced almost as if he is like a robot or an android, like that's not my son, like it's Damien from The Omen or something, you know. It's a very disturbing and uncomfortable scene. It's a long drawn out death. It's not just like she puts the pillow on his face and then it cuts to her making the phone call to Lang. It's she lays on top of him, like you said, and it is you watch the kid suffocate. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, and moving on here, we get Saul Tenser, played by Viggo Mortensen, and Caprice, played by Lee Seydoux.
Seydoux? I mean, your guess is as good as mine.
She originally, we'll get to it, she was originally supposed to play Kristen Stewart's character, and her role was supposed to have been played by Natalie Portman.
Oh, no kidding.
But there were scheduling conflicts, so then they moved Leah up, and then hired Kristen Stewart. So she was always attached, but I mean that's two big different role changes.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I would have liked to have seen how it would have gone the other way, but Leah definitely did. Leah Lee, however you say this, Leah did a good job.
Yeah, how do you think Natalie Portman would have done in that role?
That's what I'm saying. I would have liked to have seen it switch because I actually like Natalie Portman. She's in a lot of good movies, even since she was a child, doing Leon the Professional, V for Vendetta. You know, like I'm not going to count the Thor movies because like they're a little bit more, they're less serious. But
she can the lead role in the Thor movie now.
She's a pretty good actress, though. I hate actress. She's a pretty good actor. I'm not going to say that the movie would have been any better or good, but I'm saying I don't think she would have lessened the movie by being in it.
Saul and Caprice, they're both world-renowned performance artists. They perform surgeries as art. Like we said, nobody feels pain now. So like the new art is doing these like surgeries, and people just show up and watch them, and they're moved by them. Like if they went and saw a Picasso painting. I mean, Picasso's even referenced.
Yep. It's like art is in pain, basically.
And they take advantage of Tenser's accelerated evolution syndrome, which is a disorder that forces his body to constantly develop new vestigial organs, and then he has them surgically removed by Caprice. They don't know what causes it, and he's always in constant pain. And he has a special bed, like table, chair to like. It's almost like a baby in a high chair.
Are you talking about what he's eating? Mm-hmm. The thing, yeah, that's the thing that looks like it's right from Existence. But again, I won't say that there's any homages to his other films. But
it looks like he's almost having a seizure in the chair. But it's actually the chair knows his body and which way to move his body to help him digest.
Correct. Yeah, it's a very, very cool looking, very weird. I wouldn't want to sit in that thing.
No, like I said, it looked like a giant adult high chair.
It did.
They don't know why he keeps getting these organs. Although some people think he's willing the organs.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I don't think he's willing to.
No, I don't think that he was willing the organs either because I think that was stated earlier in the film, and later after that's said, we realized that he's not. He doesn't like the thing about Saul is that he's actually. You think that by doing the performance arts that he's like bragging, like, look at me, I can do this. This is my art. But he's like he's showing everyone actually he wants to take that shit out because he's not for what his body's doing. He's against it. So I don't think he's willing them. I think if his will had any effect, he wouldn't be growing them.
Yeah, it gets to a point later where a certain group thinks that maybe that's a good thing. It's your body's just taking the next step in human evolution. Oh, where's that from? Videodrome? Anyway.
Quiet, John.
Anyway, Caprice performs the surgeries on him. He also has that bed that like knows how to move him.
The orchid bed, yeah. Made by Lifeformware.
Yeah, that's the name of the company. I couldn't remember the name of the company. He out here looking like the three-eyed raven in Game of Thrones, just like stuck in a tree.
Lifeformware is basically Geek Squad for like biotechnology.
Yeah, it's just it seems like another evil company that we're used to. That always seems to pop up in sci-fi and horror. Anyway, Tensor and Caprice meet with bureaucrats in charge of the National Organ Registry, a governmental agency, and they're designed to uphold the state's restrictions on human evolution by cataloging and storing newly evolved organs. One of the bureaucrats, the nervy Timlin, played by Stu, Kristen Stewart, becomes captivated by Tensor's artistic goals. After a successful show of Tensor's... You good. After a successful show at Tensor's, she tells him that surgery is the new sex. A sentiment that Tensor seems to embrace. I mean, if you looked at their faces before Kristen Stewart's character Timlin even said this, like, I was like, damn, this looks like this shit's sexual to them.
The way Viggo Mortensen, or I mean Saul rather, the way he was like, thought that too. He was like touching his titties or his man titties and licking his lips.
To flick his nips.
He was licking his lips,
licking
and
his
I
nips.
was like, yo, like he's enjoying this. Like it's definitely like a form of sex, but
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was pretty obvious if Timlin was picking it up.
Yeah, and like you said, the National Organ Registration, that's the thing where it's like they said that organs whose functions are unknown.
Which seems to be most of the organs he had. He just would grow random shit.
They monitor them, I guess, to see what they're for, what they turn into. Whatever, that's what that registration is for. But again, not uncommon. I can definitely imagine the government having some sort of control over something like that and being a real thing. If people started growing organs, for sure, there would be a registration of some sort. That's not out of the question.
And there's a governmental police unit led by a skinny Francis Ngannou. They seek to use Tensor to infiltrate a group of radical evolutionists. Without Caprice's knowledge, Tensor meets with a series of contacts through other biological art performances that lead him to the evolutionists, including the fucking ear man. That shit was creepy as fuck. Drew was over here fucking chuckling at him.
I was laughing at the dance moves that he had, and you were over there like creeped out. You were creeped out.
I mean, dude, it's like you look at him and it looks like he has tumors on him, but then you're like, it's all these fucking ears.
Yeah, and
like on his legs, he had at least 10 ears.
Yeah, he was covered in them. Definitely.
And apparently they don't work though.
Yeah, it's all for show. Apparently, the whole thing was like he has his eyes and mouth sewn shut, so all he can do is hear, and then they just turn on some dubstep and watch him dance to dubstep with his 40 years.
Kenny will get this. Definitely, it's 2000 and fuck off.
It's definitely a Cronenberg. It's a Cronenbergian scene for sure. If you showed me that and go just that scene, it was like this is a short film made by somebody. I'd be like, either that is Cronenberg or somebody directly ripped him off and did some shit like that.
I feel like I might also say Quentin Tarantino.
Nah, his would be feet. It wouldn't be ears.
Damn, you right.
He'd be having feet growing out their fucking heads and shit.
Yeah, that shit. I couldn't have my eyes shut and my mouth shut because instinctively I would at some point try to open my eyes. Because I'd be too high, and then I'd be fucking screaming like that dude in Saw.
Yeah, right. I'd try to belch or something, end up ripping this fucking... blow the stitches right out.
You fucking cheeks would be puffed out from pulling in the fucking dirt.
Look like Chucky at the end of Child's Play 2. And they put the hose in his mouth.
Anyway, where the fuck was I? Actually, I think this might be a good time to drop off with the story. I mean, if you haven't watched it, go check it out now. It's on Vudu to rent for $20, but you could buy it for $25, and I figure, why not fucking buy it for $25? Even if you don't like it, you spend $5 extra, and if you did like it, then you're gonna have to pay money again.
Exactly, it's worth it.
It's
worth the risk, and it's Cronenberg, and it's even with movies of his that I don't necessarily like, I still find myself revisiting. So I feel that it was worth it because you might, even if we didn't like this movie, which maybe we did, maybe we didn't. Keep listening to find out. I feel like you would revisit it. I feel like rather you didn't, even if you said right now you didn't like the movie, I still feel that with it in your catalog, a couple years from now, or even a couple months, you'll see an article about it or this. You go, I'm gonna get baked. I'll give it another shot. So it's worth a watch because it's gonna come back up. And it's probably not something that's gonna be floating around Netflix.
Not for a while, at least.
I think HBO Max is going to grab it.
That's probably a good bet. Yeah, I'd say just Well, we'll just wrap up what we have to say about the movie in general here, and then we could jump into spoilers. I mean, it's Cronenberg, so for sure, like I said, this was more body horror. There's a lot of commentary here, as usual, for one of his films.
Yeah.
I also think the film, I feel like, leaves itself open to many different interpretations that maybe Cronenberg didn't intend himself. I mean, it's vague enough that, like, you ever see those movies where it's like, it's almost kind of like The Matrix. So many different groups claim that movie is like their movie. Like,
yeah.
I've seen people that are about like freedom and liberty claim it's about that.
Oh yeah.
People say it's about the trans movement. You know, like everybody has an opinion on it.
They try to make it like a metaphor for what their agenda is. That's not going to change.
I know one of the big ones was about consumption and how in the movie it says it's killing our kids from the inside.
Yeah.
One I think that isn't mentioned is I feel like society needs to just change stuff they don't like about them and find the worst in themselves.
Yeah.
After like if you watch, I mean, like, Vigo, Saul gets his organs taken out, but it's not good enough. He has to get the next one.
Yep.
And I feel like it's, you know, somebody can go like change something with themselves through plastic surgery, and how many of these people do you see that, like, they'll go get one surgery and they're like, well, I got my lips done, but, you know, I don't like my cheekbones, so I'm going to get that done.
Right.
Well, now, you know what? I'm going to get my eyebrows, like, done.
Yep.
Like, I feel like it's that, and
it's the addiction to it, yeah. And it's also the thing about, like with social media, especially how we're growing apart, we're growing more distant. Physical contact isn't as important. Even when there's a sex scene, they're just laying there getting cut. They're not actually having sex. It's like physical contact. We're so detached that physical contact doesn't get us off anymore.
Yeah, and I was just going to add with what I was saying.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to say the only other thing I really had to say about that was, I mean, like, and it's also showing us that, you know, it's kids are seeing it as well. You know, they can see, you know, people just finding the worst in themselves, and then it gets passed down, which is something we'll get into. You know, it gets passed down generation through generation.
Yeah, I mean I can totally see that perspective, and you know, I guess my thoughts on the film are I liked it. I mean, are we going into like our thoughts right now? Like what's
just our general free spoiler thoughts, and then and then when you're good here, I think we'll give our scores.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I in general, without spoilers, I'd say that I definitely liked it. It's almost like an amalgamation of a couple of Cronenberg films that I like, so it's hard to say that those films aren't referenced in this movie, because they are still good movies, and I do think that this movie's good. I feel that again, like the whole point of the, you know, movie being made, I feel it is very relevant today. I thought that the acting was good. This is actually the fourth time that Viggo Mortensen has worked with Cronenberg, but this is his first body horror Cronenberg film.
Nice.
And his other films that he worked with Cronenberg on are A History of Violence, A Dangerous Method, and Eastern Promises. They're all good, but Eastern Promises being the best one. Viggo actually said that the physical stuff isn't always as hard as the dialogue scenes. For example, the fight scene in the bathhouse in Eastern Promises was much easier for him than some dialogue scenes. But Viggo said that he likes working with David because he is, quote, convincing and writes you into his world in an honest way, end quote. And that he has such a trust with David that regardless of what David asks him to do, he'll do it. Whereas he'd question other directors if they asked him to do weird shit like Cronenberg does.
I mean, Cronenberg's got track results.
Right, but he has that track. Yeah, you're right.
Is he probably like the most, like, I guess outside of Hitchcock, maybe at least like top 10 most like respected horror directors of like all time.
Oh yeah,
and has like the most mainstream acceptance.
He's on the Mount Rushmore for sure. But Viggo actually said that he was fond of co-star Léa Seydoux, and she was in James Bond and a Mission Impossible film. I think it was Ghost Protocol. I don't know, but anyway, he said that she was generous and brave, and that watching her encouraged him to go for it. And Leah, in return, said, in regards to working with Viggo, that cinema is about intimacy. It's something created together. So she gives him full props for his work as well. And Viggo actually wanted to play the Fed in the film, the Francis Ngannou character. He wasn't drawn right away to playing such a reactive character as Saul until David pushed him into that direction.
Yeah, I want to say about the cop, it's weird, like, he doesn't fully feel out of place.
Yeah.
But there's just, I don't know, there's something missing with the character, but I don't know what it is, but it doesn't hurt the movie in any way I can really think of, but that's the only thing about the movie I would say that felt out of place.
That's a good way to put it. Something missing, because I'm trying to put my finger on it as well.
The guy doesn't do a bad job.
No, it's just.
I also think maybe, I guess it's supposed to be the future, but he's like a cop, but like Viggo Mortensen's more dressed up than he is. Like,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and also I want to talk about Scott Speedman, who's in this movie. He played Michael in the Underworld films, the vampire werewolf hybrid. He's a good actor, and he's another actor in this movie. He plays Lang, the father of Brecken, the little
weird dude,
the little dead boy. Yeah, very weird dude. Giving pained carvings in alleys. Like, it's like you're not doing heroin anymore. You're just carving each other up to get fixes.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, but he said that he is a fan of Cronenberg's films and has watched several, but he didn't rewatch any of them going into this movie because he didn't want to bring anything outside into this movie. He just wanted to show up and bring the character of Lang to the film. So that's pretty cool, especially that, he watches Cronenberg's films. But I'm kind of ranting. But anyway, but he did say, Scott said that his favorite scene in the film is his first scene that he had with Viggo when they're walking, and he kind of pitches him the idea of an autopsy that we'll get into. But so my thoughts on the film was well acted. The score by Howard Shore was good. Always Howard Shore. My complaint, spoiler free, it just didn't end with a big enough bang. I feel that it could have either been, I felt that there should have been a bigger climax. It ended on kind of a midsummer note where it just kind of left you hanging a little bit, to kind of leaves you with okay, as opposed to like a damn. And I wanted that Dead Ringers ending. I wanted that punch you in the nuts ending.
Punch you in the nuts.
Didn't get that. Got a lot of weird visuals. Good acting. So strange story, but relevant story done in a Cronenberg way. It's a typical Cronenberg film. I liked it. Oh, also, how can we not mention the nudity? There's not a lot of sex in this movie, despite, because I guess sex is actually being done through surgery. But there is a lot of nudity. We do see a couple of pairs of breasts, and there's a couple of ham wallets.
A couple of ham wallets. I did say that. There was 6 breastises in the movie.
And also, lastly, before we rate this was...
now that I remember that, I might have to up my score for each nit.
Or each ham wallet. But, so... lastly, the last thing I'll say about the movie, before spoiler free, is that this to me was like if Cronenberg remade Hellraiser on Earth. And it took place on Earth and not in hell. I mean, Hellraiser takes place on Earth, but you know what I mean. Like, if the Cenobites in them like ruled Earth, that's kind of how it would be.
You made me bring up Cenobites. Remember, I forgot all about this. The woman. Well, I guess it's more in spoilers, but there's a woman at a party that like cut herself up to be like a Cenobite.
Yeah, it looks straight like a Cenobite, right out of something Clive Barker would have done.
They like claw marks. All right, score wise. I'll give it a 7.6. It's not the best Cronenberg effort. I bought it, and I feel like it won't be the Cronenberg movie I watch the most. Obviously, Videodrome, and but it won't be one of those movies that I just play every once in a while. I mean, I kind of already want to watch it again.
Yeah. I would put this right up there with the movie that I think it's very much alike, which is Existenz, which I've mentioned, which Existenz I'd give a 7, so I definitely would give this at least a 7.5, so I think 7.5 is going to be my rating for now. It's right up that visually weird alley where, like you said, it's not something that blew me away, but it's weird enough and right up my alley enough that I'm going to revisit it. It might not be a perfect movie. It might not be... First off, I didn't expect a perfect movie. I didn't expect them to crawl out of... God, I'm not going to say grave. That's a terrible term. But I didn't expect him to crawl out of I didn't expect him to crawl out of like.
Well, Davey made this movie Time to Die.
He's been acting and all that stuff, so he hasn't really been like non-active. But I didn't expect him to necessarily pull a Ty West and come back with a bang. You know, it was kind of like this is iffy because we've seen what happened with Carpenter. Carpenter didn't do it. So I didn't go into this with high expectations. And the fact that he actually made a movie that is like up to par with like some of his other better movies. 7.5 isn't a bad rating. You know, like I think that that's fair, and it's definitely rewatchable, like you said. And first thing I'm going to do when it hits home video is watch the bonus features and listen to the commentaries if there is one. And yeah, it'll get rewatched. I'd like to
definitely hear the commentary on that one.
It'll get rewatched for sure. Yeah, so yeah, 7.5 for me, 7.6 for you.
And I think that's where we'll leave this part. Now, I think it's time we can move on to spoilers. If Josh should just go out and play like a wee woo noise to like 4 people.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Yeah, cover your ears if you don't want to hear spoilers, or just switch to a prior episode of our show and listen to that.
Yeah, listen to them all.
Yeah, that's right.
Today. All right, I think that's enough time for y'all to leave. So, jumping back in here, Tensor meets with Timlin, and who shares with him the agenda of the evolutionists. They've chosen to modify their digestive systems to make them be able to eat plastics and other synthetic chemicals, which is that's the one thing that they talk to him about. Saul is that he keeps pulling these organs out, and they're saying, "What if you just let them keep growing?"
Yeah,
and that's their idea, is that's the way the species is going to evolve. Your body's telling you what it needs to do.
Yeah, it's evolution to that.
And this evolution's pretty goddamn quick.
Agreed.
Their principal food is a purple processed candy bar of toxic waste, fatally poisonous to others. And Lang is actually the leader of the cell. His son was Brecken, and he was the firstborn to be able to eat plastic, proving the inaccuracy of what the government said on human evolution. Timlin tries to initiate sex with Saul, but he says he's, quote, not good at the old kind of sex.
Well, actually, though, what I wanted to say about Brecken is Brecken also, first of all, was a little drooly motherfucker and was drooling everywhere. And he had this thick white drool that not only was he born with the ability to eat plastic and digest it, but he drooled, and it was like an alien. I'll say he had like alien blood almost, where he like drooled and it was like acidic. It would burn. It burned his mother when his drool got on her, but it didn't burn him. Like, so he was definitely made of something else.
Spit through the pillow, though?
He was, so to speak, the evolution. I guess he was like the first, like you said, firstborn. So he was the first step in the new evolution.
He was the first unnatural natural child.
Yeah, so he was the first.
He was the first mutant.
Yeah, and the last because his mama suffocated him.
Yes, again, like he could have just got some spit and just got through that pillow.
That's like, very true. Yeah, should just Reagan just barfed.
Just started like wiping his mouth all over it.
I would have tried. Shit.
Yeah, fucking bitch trying to choke you out.
Why are you sleeping too? Snuck up on my man while he was sleeping.
Yeah, step up when you awake, bitch. You get that acid spit. Saul's approached by Lang, played by Scott Speedman, and he wants Saul and Caprice to reveal the cell's anti-government agenda through a public autopsy on Brecken that'll highlight the evolved digestive system. After some deliberation, really a lot of it, Saul agrees. With Timlin, Lang, and others watching, Saul performs the autopsy, but what is revealed is that his natural organs are there. Lang flees the show in tears. Outside, he's approached by 2 agents who supposedly work for the corporation that manufactures Saul's biomedical machines. And they'd actually caught up with a former other doctor, Nastier, and killed him. And they assassinate Lang by driving power tools through his head as well.
Lifeformware, like that evil corporation in every sci-fi movie.
Saul's connections within the police unit admit that Timlin replaced Brecken's organs with his not his original ones, but regular human ones, to keep the deviation in human evolution secret from the public. Saddened by Brecken and Lang's death, Saul informs the police that he'll no longer serve them, approvingly referencing the cell's belief on evolution. He even gets questioned saying it seems like you admire them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Totally makes sense, though.
And then Saul's in his high chair again. And he's struggling to eat. He asks Caprice to give him a bar of plastic. As Caprice records him, he eats it. And he looks into Caprice's camera and sheds a tear. Purple plastic bars so good they'll bring a tear to your eye.
And he found bliss and is no longer in pain, and he realized, I guess, that he is also part of the next step of evolution, and that is what he needs to eat as well.
The new organs.
But no, it's funny because
long live the new digestive tract. It's not as catchy though.
No, it's not. But Scott Speedman actually, he eats these, like you said, these they look like purple chocolate bars. He's eating them throughout the whole film.
Purple Hershey bars that don't have the lines in them.
Right, and the whole, they're kind of like a no frills, like Hershey bar almost, but they're purple. And the thing is that they're toxic. They literally kills another man who eats it. He takes a bite of the chocolate and literally drops dead. And the whole point of the chocolate is to signify like how different Lang's body is, and like these people that what are they called again? I'm brain farting.
They're the evolutionaries. Like they're like the revolutionists.
Yeah, basically. But the whole point is to say that Lang and everyone that is like believes in what he believes in is they can eat this shit, and that's what they eat now. They process food. That's their
even
food.
Makes
they
a
process
reference, like how we said about how it references global warming. That's them being punished. That's now what they have to eat.
They're basically eating waste. And they can eat waste now, and that's basically what the chocolate bar is it's plastic, it's waste, and it's we're eating our own waste, and it's pretty crazy because that's why at the end of the movie, when I'm kind of stumbling on my words here, but that's why at the end of the movie when Saul eats the chocolate, it's kind of important that you see his reaction because he avoided it. It was almost as if like he's like, when he first is offered the chocolate bar, he turns it away, and it's almost as if he's like almost like, I don't want to know, I don't want to be part of that. But then at the end of the movie, he literally decides, okay, it's time to fucking try this bar, maybe this is what I need, and he eats the chocolate, and sure enough, like eating the waste is what's going to sustain him. He's no longer the typical human like we are. He has evolved, so to speak, if that's what you want to call this. Is it devolving, evolving? I don't know, but whatever it is, he has now moved on from being a traditional human. Not that he wasn't already with growing all these extra organs and shit, but he's officially moved into that next phase and has to face accepting that. And like John said, it literally brings a tear of joy to his eye to find the bliss that he gets in accepting who he is. So it's kind of deep.
Yeah, because throughout the movie, he struggles to eat. That's why he has that chair. But even with the chair, he's still got that weak gag reflex.
yeah, he's no Sasha Grey.
But like he can't even eat like mush because like he's choking so bad.
Yeah.
But he fucking gobbled down that purple bar.
Yeah, the waste, the plastic will do it.
Long live the new flesh.
I don't know, man. I don't know if we're ever going to really end up eating plastics or not, if that'll be in our generation, but I mean, that shit better taste good.
I mean, I already eat enough bad shit for me with those plastic when I add to it.
That's true. If any, I mean, they'll probably like last in your system less than McDonald's does. That's for sure.
Maybe.
Them fries will still be in there for a couple years.
Fries will still be there.
Did you ever hear that story about somebody bought a Caravan from a used car lot that was 8 years, and they got the Caravan, and then the back seat was a Happy Meal. And it was dated 8 years prior, and like the receipt was dated 8 years prior, and they opened it up, and everything in the fucking Happy Meal was completely perfectly preserved, like nothing rotted. The burger, the fries, everything looked completely the same.
That's some urban legend bullshit.
I don't know, man.
I've left a McDonald's burger and forgot about it for a couple days, and that shit did not look normal.
Has McDonald's been feeding us microplastics this whole time? Are we about to break into a Joe Rogan podcast episode right here and conspiracy theorize? Because
no.
Maybe McDonald's is feeding us.
I'm not buying that.
McDonald's has been feeding us. Well, in the Super Size Me documentary, though, he does the thing right there where you see the fries don't deteriorate. So I mean, I don't know if 8 years they wouldn't deteriorate in 8 years, but still, I think that with all the shit McDonald's is spraying, maybe we're getting a little.
They spraying?
I mean, they're spraying. What the fuck is McDonald's with the shit that they're putting on their foods, the pesticides and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like maybe they've been McDonald's is evil and been feeding us plastics. I don't know. Probably not, but you never know.
Probably not, but you never know.
Anyway, let me hit you with some knowledge nugs here. The plate that lifts over Viggo Mortensen's chest, or his torso, is CG, and the surgical arms, some of those are practical, but most of them are CG. Those are actually good CG. The bad CG in the film is when you see the little scalps. One of them is like really kind of like, ugh, like I thought they could have done a better job on one of those scalps at one point.
Jeez, I'm hitting shit.
And also the surgery scene on Viggo Mortensen, when he's getting the autopsy done to himself, they had a silicone body to do that with like the organs in it and shit. But they realized that that the body didn't breathe, and that if they used Viggo's real body, that they could get him breathing. So they used his real body so they could do the breathing, but made the surgery completely CG.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
if he was a real man, he would have just got himself cut open.
Look, if he was Christian Bale, he'd have done
Christian
some real
Bale
method
did
acting.
it on himself.
That's what I'm saying. He'd have samurai'd himself. He'd have stuck a sword in and just twisted and shit. But no, he wouldn't have done all that.
No, he would have.
All right, so 7.5 for me, 7.6 out of you. Where does this rank in Cronenberg's like films for you? Would you say like top films, one of his best, one of his just a good Cronenberg film? That's what I'd say. It's a good Cronenberg film.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it in the top two.
No, it's not going to be like, oh no, it's not going to be one of those ones where when I'm having a Cronenberg type of mindset where I want to watch Cronenberg, I'm not going to run to my shelves and grab like 2 or 3 movies. It's not going to be in those 2 or 3, you know what I mean? But I'd watch it before I'd watch...
It'd be in the top 5.
Yeah, I would... Okay, I would say I'd grab Videodrome, The Brood, Dead Ringers...
Oh, shit, I forgot about the Brood.
Yeah, Scanners.
Okay, it's not
maybe
top 5.
It may be 5 or 6 for me. 5 or 6.
Fly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not 5. It's not 5. Top 10. That's good. Top 7. Top 7. It's in his top 7. I'll put it in his top 7 unless we think of more.
I forgot about a couple of those.
Yeah,
probably because I'm high as fuck.
Definitely, me too. But yeah, man, I enjoyed watching the movie with you. So next week, what are we going to be bringing our listeners?
That Ethan Hawke joint. It's Friday night. Like we're recording. It just came out. And the early reviews I've seen have all been really positive. So
we're gonna go check it out.
Black Phone.
We'll report back to you guys next week on what we think. Do your whole thing, man. That are about wrap her up. Social media. You don't wanna do your whole thing.
Damn, you just rushing me.
I'm just fucking.
You acting like at 4 a.m, dog. Well, almost 4 a.m. Thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. And, look, Cronenberg's got a new movie. Go fucking see it.
Right?
I mean, there's certain names you hear. Carpenter.
Wes Craven.
I was just gonna say like names in general, but then I fucking lost who I was gonna say. So I'm like, well, that just fucked it all up. Spielberg, fucking
Tarantino,
Scorsese, like
Cronenberg.
you hear names. Cronenberg. Exactly. Well, no, I'm just saying, like I was naming other people, but get into Cronenberg. You know, you just hear a name, you gotta go see the movie. You don't even know. Fucking Christopher Nolan's the other one I was trying to think of when I was naming off people that I couldn't remember. It was Christopher Nolan.
Another Nolan reference.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty fucking good. That's all there is to it. I'd like to see him do.
When you're talking about film greats like David Cronenberg, when you're talking about a filmmaker that makes you bring up Christopher Nolan twice, that's usually a good fucking sign. And
I know we're supposed to be wrapping this up, but I really want to say I'd love to see Christopher Nolan do a true horror.
Yeah, man, same. Like I said, we're slasher fans. I doubt that he would do that, but if we got him to do like a giallo or a slasher film, holy shit. Holy shit.
All right.
Speaking of which, hold on. No, let me say something. I'm going to say one more thing. Hot Fuzz. You familiar with the movie, the Simon Pegg and Nick Frost movie?
I've seen it once.
Okay. Rewatching the film, I realized how much of a giallo that movie is. It was Edgar Wright's love letter to a giallo, where it's like, there's so many things about a giallo. I'll talk to you about it off the air. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway. We're in the wrap-up section of this thing. Anyway.
I enjoy talking to you, brother. My bad.
Yeah, you should apologize.
I like talking movies. For those of you listening, Hot Fuzz is a love letter to the Jello.
To the Jello. Anyway, social media. Follow us on it. High on Horror 420. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Our website, highonhorror.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Sign up for that newsletter. Sign up for that newsletter at highonhorror.com. Get our latest guest announcements and episodes sent directly to your inbox. Emails at highonhorror420@gmail.com. We'll answer. Man, goddamn, I'm high as fuck.
Get your words right, bro.
Get your words right. Get your words up. Jesus Christ, what am I saying? You can ask us some questions on Puff Puff Ask. God damn. Yeah, so. And then next week, like we said, Black Phone, Ethan Hawke. This shit better be good. I've fucking been waiting for this movie to come out. It better not suck.
Joe Hill, Ethan Hawke, and Scott Derrickson signed me the fuck up. We said that back when it came out. We were looking forward to seeing it, and then the release date got pushed. Well, we're here, so let's see. We'll bring you we'll see what we can do to make sure that we bring you something that you haven't heard from the movie or about the movie, knowledge-wise, during our review like we always do. We always try to fill you with some knowledge. Why is this wrap-up going so long?
I don't know. And you know what else just occurred to me?
What's that?
We're at our 1 year anniversary. We've been doing this shit for fucking 1 year already.
Fuck yeah, dude. You all can't see this.
We forgot all about it.
We're fist bumping. We reviewed a Cronenberg film for our 1 year anniversary. Yeah. That works. I'm good with that. Thank you all for listening.
Should have been on here.
I mean, we should maybe if we pitched him the idea that, hey man,
yeah, he'd have been like, oh, the 1 year anniversary of High on Horror. Well, goddamn, I'm there.
Well, I didn't know my life was missing this.
Anyway, I think that'll about wrap her up. Catch you later.
Bye, everybody.